Welcome to this week's edition of New York Now. I'm Dan Clark. New York hit two major milestones this week for COVID-19. For one, more than half of adults in New York have now been fully vaccinated. That's almost 8 million people. And almost 2/3 of adults in New York have gotten at least one shot. But for two, hospitalizations from the virus finally dipped below 2,000 for the first time since November. And the state expects that number to keep going down as more New Yorkers get vaccinated. Here's Governor Cuomo this week.
The inarguable fact across the world is that as vaccinations go up, positivity goes down. That is a fact.
So the COVID side of things is going well, but what's not going well is Cuomo's new strategy against the several claims of sexual harassment made against him in recent months. Here's what he said this week when asked if he might have broken the state's laws on sexual harassment.
Harassment is not making someone feel uncomfortable. That is not harassment. If I just made you feel uncomfortable, that is not harassment. That's you feeling uncomfortable.
And that comment was almost instantly skewered by attorneys and advocates for stronger sexual harassment laws. Let's get into it with John Campbell from the USA Today Network and Daryl Camp, our own reporter. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So Daryl, I want to start with you. The Cuomo comments that we just heard was, I would describe as cringeworthy. What are we hearing in terms of reaction to it?
The reaction is the same as my personal reaction, jarring. So on June 3rd of 2019, which was the end of the legislative session or close to it, the governor said severe and pervasive is too high of a standard for sexual harassment in the workplace and as it applies to state government. So he had this whole press conference saying, hey, we have these major 4 points we need to get done so women feel comfortable in government and in the workplace generally. What does he say now? It seems like he's backpedaling and he's almost fortifying the, quote, patriarchy's opinion that severe or pervasive is what we need, which is honestly shocking. And in addition to that, another thing I found jarring when I turned that press conference on was Senator Jamal Bailey being there, being someone who called for the governor to step down. And it seems like there's a trend of normalization of legislators who have called for him to step down later being seen with him, because you have Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins, the majority leader, you had Judy Griffin, Todd Kaminsky. There's been a pattern of that, and I don't know what to read into that exactly.
I'm also surprised by Jamal being there and by lawmakers being there in general, just because, it was such a different time 2 months ago, it feels like, between the legislature and the governor. And it's almost like we're coming to a period of warming between them. I don't know if that's true. John, what do you think?
Well, we're in this weird period of limbo where we don't know when these various investigations into the governor are going to conclude. And now you have this period of time where you have a governor who is embattled by any definition of the word. And he's still going out there having his press conferences. In the last few days, he's had COVID-19 briefings that were very similar to the briefings that made him a national star at the beginning of the pandemic. And there is a bit of a normalization. But, that comment that he made about sexual harassment, where he was questioned about the disconnect between his apology to his accusers and also him insisting that he did nothing wrong, it reads, his quote reads as if he's saying he can make people uncomfortable with impunity,
Right.
And that is something that made a lot of his accusers angry, a lot of sexual harassment groups angry, a lot of attorneys to say that it's just wrong on the face of the law.
We've gone from this weird phase of Cuomo when he was first accused, where he issued this very emotional apology. His voice was cracking when he was in the Red Room, telling everybody that he was sorry, that he was embarrassed of this. And in the last few weeks, it seems like he's really developed maybe a thick skin or something.
A defiance.
He's defiant, exactly. Yeah. And another thing on that front with the press conference is, there is something that really stood out to me over the past few weeks since he's let reporters come back. A, he stopped doing conference calls,
yes.
And B, he hasn't come back to Albany to talk to the people who are specifically assigned to cover him. So what exactly are we doing? Why are you hiding in New York City? Don't be scared. We would like to talk to you.
That's a really great point, because when he is going to these events, we've seen he's gone to Buffalo, which is it's obviously we can get there from Albany, but it's a 4-hour drive.
Super short notice, so not really.
Exactly.
But, to our credit, we have great colleagues across the state in
Yes,
media
that's
that
very
are doing
true.
great work. Rebecca Lewis was the person who questioned him yesterday about the sexual harassment disconnect there of city and state, and she did a really great job.
Definitely. So, talking about all of this, as you mentioned, John, we have the impeachment probe going on. We don't really know where it is in the Assembly. It started in March, and they've been interviewing people, presumably. We've gotten a few updates so far, but do we know where it stands?
Well, the short answer is no. There's three main investigations that are going on: the Assembly impeachment probe, the Department of Justice's investigation into nursing home deaths, and the Attorney General's investigation. And we do not have a firm timeline for any of those. I mean, especially with the Department of Justice, something that could be criminal in nature. I mean, we're just never going to have that kind of timeline. But we don't know if this is going to wrap up in 2 days or if this is going to wrap up in 2 months or even longer. And so that puts us in this weird limbo where you do see more of a normalization of the governor's events and what we discussed earlier.
Do you think that this is going to create, and I asked this to Jack O'Donnell later in this week's show, do you think that this is going to create a division in the Democratic Party long term because we see these lawmakers standing with the governor at events, and then we see lawmakers who don't even want to mention his name. Mm-hmm. Do you think we're going to see that division?
Well, you kind of already see that division, quite frankly. You have this new breed of Albany lawmaker, younger lawmakers, more progressive, that really have been driving that train, so to speak, of more progressive legislation in Albany, as well as the calls for the governor's resignation, the emphasis on sexual harassment protections. That newer breed of Albany lawmaker has really kind of driven that bus. So the longer the governor's in office, the more potential for that disconnect. Will he run for a fourth term? Will he make it to a point where he can decide whether he runs for a fourth term? Those are things that will help decide how deep that disconnect goes.
All right, well, we do have to leave it there. Thank you both for your analysis. This has been great. Our own Daryl Camp and John Campbell from the USA Today Network. Thank you so much.
Thank you.